White guys have had it pretty good for a long time.
40% of men supporting Trump between the ages of 18 and 49 do believe the progress of women came at their expense.
The old jobs are disappearing, and many white working-class men are feeling left behind.
If I'm not the boss, who am I?
Pretty soon with these trends, we're going to have 2-to-1 female-to-male college grads.
If my boss is a woman, what does that mean?
In fact, that's difficult if you were previously unfairly ahead, as many men were.
It's hard not to see a connection between the distress felt by so many of these men and the challenges of adjusting to a changing world.
This isn't thinly veiled misogyny. They feel abandoned.
We're fixing it.
And part of it is just adjusting to a world of equality.
None of that was the way it was.
Might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. Unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink.
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Haas.
I'm CeCe.
Today we got a hot topic for you. We have noticed a curious trend over the last few years. There seems to be this school of thought that the straight white male is in danger of extinction. News article after article are warning us of the extinction of the great white male.
I'm not going to say that they're going extinct, but I do believe their demographic is experiencing a deep cultural and political anxiety rooted in the perceived loss of dominance. Yes, this is a matter of perception, because let's be honest, who still holds the power? And it is this perception of a loss of power that is driving much of what's happening in our country right now.
For centuries, the white male stood at the top of the American power structure, economically, politically, and socially. And he's been shielded by systems built through colonization, slavery, patriarchy, and capitalism. But they don't want to share the power, do they?
So as demographic shifts accelerate, gender roles evolve, and marginalized voices grow louder, many white men feel their historical privileges slipping away.
And the demographic growth of people of color is seen not as progress, but as existential threats to their identity, status, and inherited sense of control. This fuels a growing sense of fear and resentment, often weaponized by political figures and media outlets who capitalize on the narrative of white replacement or the death of traditional America.
The death of traditional America? Or simply put, let's make America great again.
At the core, the white power structure is being challenged on all fronts. And movements that call out past injustices and seek reparative justice only serve to fuel their anger. They resort to voter suppression laws, book bans, attacks on affirmative action, and the rolling back of civil rights protections, especially for women, trans people, and immigrants.
These are all core tactics to keep the status quo in place. They are strategies to cling to control in a world where the old hierarchies are crumbling.
Today, we're going to discuss the roots of the white power structure and why it refuses to accept that change is coming.
So what is the white patriarchy?
In a nutshell, white patriarchy is a system where white men hold power and privilege, often at the expense of women, people of color, and other marginalized groups. And it's rooted in both patriarchal structures of male dominance and white supremacy.
But let's be clear, this cultural epidemic is not just an American construct. It is a worldwide issue. Wherever white domination exists, so does oppression, control, and manipulation of laws to maintain power. It's about a long global strategy, one rooted in colonization and racial classification. When people talk about the extinction of the straight white male, what they're really expressing is the fear of stepping into a world where power isn't guaranteed by birth.
And to be honest, a lot of white men are dealing with real pressures. Economically, the jobs that once promised them stability and guaranteed upward mobility, such as manufacturing, they're disappearing. The old myth that a man could be the sole provider and automatically be respected is collapsing.
Add to that the fact that women are outpacing men in education and income. Women are earning more degrees, starting more businesses, and entering fields that used to be male-only spaces.
Women make up nearly 60% of college students, with men at 40%. That's the largest gender gap in the history of American higher education, and it's getting wider. And it's basically a reversal of where things stood a half century ago. In the fall of 1970, men accounted for nearly 59% of U.S. college students, women 41%. Last year, American colleges enrolled 1.5 million fewer students than 5 years ago, and 71% of those who are gone are men.
And instead of seeing this as progress, many men interpret it as displacement, as if success is like a pie. And if the women get a slice, then their slice disappears.
Then there's the dating crisis. And like men in other demographics, white men are struggling to form relationships because the traditional gender roles they were raised with don't hold up anymore. A lot of women simply aren't interested in being subservient or dependent. They want equal partners. And some men don't know how to operate outside of hierarchy.
What we don't talk about is the existential threat this presents to society. We talk a lot about income inequality. We have mating inequality in this country. 2 and 3 relationships start on Tinder, 50 men, 50 women, 46 women show all their attention to just 4 men. And what do those 4 women have? They signal success with a college degree. So you're going to have the most dangerous person in the world is a broke and a lone male. And we are producing too many of them. The mating inequality that's going to come out of this dearth of men in college poses an existential risk to our economy and our society.
And that confusion becomes resentment, where they feel like women are too independent. And instead of adapting, many are retreating into online echo chambers such as the manosphere or incel forums. And they're starting to listen to political figures who promise them a return to the old order if they just blame feminism or immigrants.
The Secret Service released a study this week on the growing terrorism threat of the so-called incel movement. Incel is short for involuntarily celibate. Adherents call themselves anti-feminist. The report says followers of the incel movement blame acts of violence on an inability to form relationships with women.
The incel movement is growing. On one of the most extreme incel forums, there are 18,000 members.
Name me one example, one time, where a woman has genuinely got with 5 foot balding, fat, ugly man.
Online, a community of men think women are the enemy.
So now we've got economic insecurity, cultural displacement, shifting gender roles, and relationship anxiety all colliding at once. And instead of dealing with the real issues, political leaders weaponize that fear. But fear can't stop. It's already happening. Demographics are changing. Women are rising. Marginalized voices are refusing to disappear. The hierarchy is breaking on every level, and no amount of panic can rewind that.
So the truth is, equality isn't the threat. The threat is refusing to evolve. The threat is clinging to a system that only worked for a few and harmed everyone else, including the very men who now feel lost inside of it.
So the real question is this: will white men keep fighting a losing battle against progress? Or will they finally step into a world where power is shared? Relationships are mutual, and their identity doesn't depend on standing above someone else. Because this isn't the end of white men. It's just the end of unchecked dominance and the beginning of something much healthier. Good people, change is coming. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace.